Good afternoon, everybody. How we doing? Hello. Let's see. Let me get. Good afternoon, everybody. How we doing? Let's see. Let me get. There. Good afternoon, everybody. Uh-oh, we have some feedback going on here. Hang on one second. Oh, there's feedback going on here. Hang on one second. Oh, there we go. Okay, that's better. How's everybody doing today? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Happy Monday to you. So as you'll see, I am working from home as I just got done with my ACL surgery. So we are working on getting back to walking and driving and all that good stuff. So pardon my non-office appearance while we are recouping and rehabbing and all that good stuff. But so glad you guys were able to join. Thank you for joining me. Just wanted to reach out to you folks and see where everybody is coming in from. I see people are starting to hop on now. So by all means, let me know where you are located. All right, so we'll just wait while a few folks hop on the line. Let me know where you're located and what your submarket is, so we can check out and see what's doing. All right, so let's go with this. Let's go with this. All righty, all righty. Hang on one second. Just make sure we got our audio correct. Correct. Boom, 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 boom. Let's see. Okay. All right. Good stuff. All right, excellent, guys. So if you can, just let me know in the comments where you guys are coming in from. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, and by the way, also, if you're joining us live, type in the chat #live. If you're joining us on the replay, type in #replay so we can get a good idea for you know, how many of you folks catch it live, some catch it on the replay. Not everybody can see it when it's live, you know, because depending on your time zone and so forth. So, so yeah, so go ahead and let me know that. But today what we're going to be going over is we're going to be going over the top 10 mistakes to avoid when getting started in commercial, getting started closing your first commercial deal. So I think you guys will find this informative, you know, and if you can take anything from my experience, you know, maybe avoid some of the things that I did as a new broker. I helped kind of compile this list of top 10 from students that have gone through my course and some of the things that they wish they hadn't done their first year or their first 6 months in commercial. So I think it'll help you to be a little guidepost to, you know, keep you from going too far to the left or to the right, so to speak, while navigating the commercial waters. But a lot of you that are in the group today are joining because, you know, obviously it's commercial sales for realtors, right? So you're probably already, you know, for the most part, focusing on the residential side. And the idea is to be able to add some commercial deals to your business. And I'm not suggesting you go out and you just jump ship from what's already working for you, but rather get those skills honed for the commercial side so that when the opportunities come along, or you can create your own opportunities, but most agents I speak to, you know, they have 1, 2, 3 opportunities a year, and they have to pass them off to another agent that may or may not take good care of them. That may or may not include them on the second, third, fourth deal with that commercial client, so they miss out on potential earnings. And furthermore, you know, when you're just getting a referral, yeah, you might be getting a 20 or 25% referral on a deal, but realistically, you're giving up, you know, between 75 and 80%. Right. So it's very important to understand, you know, there are some things that that might be worth it to understand and learn so that in the future you have the skill set ready. The way I like to use it, and the metaphor kind of came to me recently, and it's basically, it's like self-defense, right? You don't learn martial arts, you don't learn how to box so you can go out and beat people up. I mean, you can, right? But a lot of people want to use it in case they have to defend themselves so that you can, you know, in this case, if you have the opportunity, you know, you're going to continue to do what you do. But if the opportunity comes along, you have the skills to take care of yourself in that particular scenario, right? Or if you really wanted to, you learn how to prospect, and I teach that in my training course. I can teach you how to prospect so you can go out and get more commercial opportunities. So if you want to have 20% or 30% or 40% of your business as commercial. I can show you how to do that as well. We're going to be getting to the training in just a little bit, but just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Christian Peter. I am owner of Dark Commercial. I'm also the owner of this group, Commercial Sales for Realtors, and I am a commercial investor. I'm an active broker as well as a coach. So what we do is we really try to help folks, as many people as possible, pay it forward. Had a lot of good fortune in the business, and I want to teach some of the things that I've learned and pass them forward to the next crop of folks that want to learn this, because there are a lot of folks out there that really want to learn these skills. So I kind of take it upon myself to show you guys how to do it, right? So the other thing I want to bring up is I'll be mentioning towards the end of the call, a little bit about our training program in case you guys do want to get involved, in case anything that you saw here, kind of, pricks up your ears or that sort of thing. But I just want to make sure, we have everybody coming in. Just wanted to see, I have, let's see, one second. Where is that? Oh, here we go. I have a binder here. Yeah, I'm a little discombobulated because it's my home office. But in the we have a state-by-state guide of what the average sale is state to state, right? So like typically throughout the country, the majority of the country, we're looking at 1.6 million, 1.7 million, maybe 1.5 million. Some of the highest states, like California, is 2.8, Alaska's 3.8 million. But basically, the average commercial transaction is right around $40,000, $50,000. In terms of average, if you take 3% on an average commercial sale, nation coast to coast, it's about $48,000. So just to keep it in mind, one transaction a year, isn't $500. You're looking at something close to possibly 50,000, something like that. Or if you cut it in half, right? If it was a very small transaction, you're still looking at picking up an additional $25,000 per transaction. So just kind of as we go through the training, think of what this might mean to you as picking up, 1, 2, 3 deals. Could be anywhere between $50,000, $75,000, $100,000 in addition to what you're already doing in your business, right? So that being said, I will get to the training. If you guys could do me a favor and just give me a +1 right in the chat. The reason why I have you interact in the chat, the more you interact with with information that you're viewing, the more it'll help you understand it. The more you can combine multiple senses, your eyes, your ears, typing, your tactical. The more you engage, the more you are focused, and the more you're likely to retain the information. And furthermore, the more you're likely to implement the information. So I want to encourage you to go ahead and type in the chat. I see we have James came on from Southeastern Michigan. Welcome, James. How are you? Eric's here from Boston, and he's live. Awesome. Welcome. We see Tulsa. Karen's here from Tulsa. Oh, Karen's back again. Nice to see you again, Karen. We have Emma's here from South Bend, Indiana. Welcome. One of my other students is in Indiana, not too far from you. But we'll go ahead and get started, guys. And if you could do me a favor and just type +1 in the chat when you can see my screen that shows today's training. So just give me 1 second. All right. Give me 1 second. Okay, folks, if you can do me a favor and type in the chat when you can see where it says weekly call 913. Can you guys see that? Let me know if you can. Let's see, hang on 1 second. Over here, let's see if I can see the, okay, if you guys can give me a +1. Oh, there we go. Thanks, Emma, I appreciate it. Okay, cool, so we are good to go. Okay, so like I said, I'm Christian Peter, and I'm part of CRE Basic Training. I'm the owner and creator of the program. And basically, we are here to teach you folks how to learn how to lease and sell commercial property. Add those 1, 2, 3 deals to your pipeline per year, so that you can add another $20,000, $30,000, $50,000, $100,000 on top of what you're already earning. If anyone would like to earn, an extra $50,000 to $100,000 a year, do me a favor, give me a +1 in the chat, just to let me know that I'm talking to the right crowd here. hopefully I've got the right folks on the line here. Just do me a favor and let me know. I see James. James says yes. Okay, he gives me a +1. Yep. Okay. All right, he's the first one. I guess everyone else. Okay. Yeah, I see more people hopping on. Great. Good. Okay, we're talking to the right folks. All right. So this is how what we do. We talk about. Oh, this is actually the wrong slideshow. Sorry. Just kidding, guys. I'm looking for the one from last week. Whoops. 1 second. Wait for it. See, I'm letting the anticipation build. Isn't that fun? Hang on 1 second. Hang on 1 second. Okay. All right. All right, guys, give me a +2 if you can see weekly training 9/20/21. Yep. I grabbed last week's training, unfortunately. There we go. Okay, cool. All right, thank you, Roger. Appreciate it. Okay, welcome, Roger. Roger, just go ahead and let me know where you're coming in from, what city and state. It's helpful, so I know where folks are checking in from and so on. But as I mentioned, this weekly training is going to be on the top 10 mistakes to avoid your first year in the business, right? So here we go, all right? Mistakes. What we're going to cover tonight is the top 10 mistakes, the do's and don'ts of commercial brokerage. I'm sure when all you folks got started on the residential side, that after 365 days in the business, you said to yourself, you know what? If I could do that all over again, I could have saved myself a lot of time and heartache by not doing this and not doing that. That's what we're going to cover on the commercial side. So this is not only my personal experience, but I also curated this list from some of my students that have gone through the program and taken their lumps and so on and so forth. So, this is kind of what we came up with. All right. And I see Roger from LA, California. Awesome. I just mentioned California. You guys are the second highest average transaction size in the country. You guys are 2.8 million, second only to Hawaii, which is 3.8 million. But yeah, you guys have a killer market out there. So if you're deciding or considering taking on commercial, the deals are pretty juicy out in California. Top 10, right? So what we're going to David Letterman used to, right? Back in the day, I'm a 90s kid, so I remember, watching late night TV, and David Letterman would always do his top 10, and he'd always do it in reverse order. Why? Because as we get further down the list, they get more and more important, right? But this is by no means unimportant, okay? When you're considering reaching out to folks on commercial, you cannot buy the business. You cannot buy the business. What do I mean by buy the business? You can't buy leads. You can't buy Zillow leads. You can't just get emails where just people just falling in your lap, people that are moving into town. It doesn't work that way in commercial. You have to go out and find people that are looking to transact. And the commercial buyers, sellers, leasers, and so forth are oftentimes a smaller subset. So you have to know where to look for them. The beautiful thing about commercial is there's far less competition in terms of it's a smaller market. There's less competitors. How many of you guys, by a show of hands, or rather a +1 in the chat, how many of you feel that where you are located, the residential agent market is completely saturated, and everyone and their brother has a license, and every part-time person that stay-at-home mom or stay-at-home dad, or folks that are just looking for something to do, pick up a license, and there's just so many people to compete with. Can you guys give me a +1? Because that's something I've heard quite a bit, is it's very, very hard to differentiate yourself because there are so many people with licenses. Let me know in the chat with a +1 if you've ever felt that way or ever heard anyone around your office talk like that. Right. So the interesting thing about commercial, though, is you have to dedicate the time to research before picking up the phone. We have to find where these folks are. It's not like you can go to the grocery store and hand out some business cards, or go to the gas station and hand out business cards. It's not that easy. On the residential side, everybody out there is a potential client because everyone needs a roof over their head, right? Everyone needs an apartment, a house, what have you. Everyone's either buying or selling or whatnot. But what's something in commercial, you have to know where to find the data and then how to look them up. And then you have to research them before picking up the phone. It's just not that easy to find them. But the nice thing is there's far less people to compete with. Okay, the next thing to talk about is the contracts and the paperwork and so forth are quite a bit different. Not quite a bit different. They're somewhat different. There are some different clauses and so forth because we do business slightly differently. But once you learn the differences, you'll be up and running, right? But you do have to understand your contracts and your paperwork, right? We have what's called letters of intent and requests for proposals and that sort of thing. So have to be very, very careful. We have NDAs, which stands for non-disclosure agreements. We have CAs, we have commission agreements, we have confidentiality agreements and so forth. So it's very, very important to familiarize yourself with this paperwork so that you can get up and going in the shortest amount of time possible. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody, but there is a certain part, you do have to wear a lot of hats on the commercial side. So it is important to be able to understand and know your paperwork cold. Next up, qualify your buyers and tenants, right? How many of you folks, by a show of hands, or give me a +2 in the chat, right? How many of you have ever put someone in your car, showed them a bunch of houses, ran around town, and then turns out they weren't qualified financially, they weren't fully capable of putting down a down payment, maybe they had bad credit before, and you found this all out after you have invested a bunch of time with these folks, and you taken around and spent your gas and spent your tires and spent your hard effort and so forth for days or hours or whatever it might be. I know I am absolutely guilty of that. I used to, if I spoke to someone on the phone, they said, yeah, send me a brochure, or send me a survey or a download a search or whatever. I would call them back a day or two later and they wouldn't even have looked at it, or I would go out and spend hours looking for things for folks that had no intention of buying, right? So one of the things that I coach my students on is I explain to them, I say, listen, folks, right? You're going to get a lot of people that want to do business with you, but you have to make sure that you want to do business with them. Right? So one of the best things you can do for someone that's looking to buy or someone that's looking to lease is go and see their current location. Whereas a lot of people will tell you, oh, I want X, Y, Z, A, B, C, right? Everybody wants something, right? Sometimes they give you like their Christmas list, so to speak, right? The best thing you can do is go to their location, see if the employees have enough space, see if there's enough parking, see if there's enough offices, see if there's big enough, if there are enough bathrooms, see if the warehouse is large enough, see if if the building is working for them. They might just be giving you some fool's errand that they don't even really need, or maybe they're not even motivated, or maybe you're not even speaking to the decision maker. That's why it's so important to qualify buyers and tenants before you get going to expending a lot of time and effort on them, because at the end of the day, the reality of it is most of them, a lot of people, if you don't qualify them properly, you could spend a lot of your time working on it. And the only thing that we have as agents and brokers to sell is our time and our knowledge. So you had better believe we got the most high producing brokers use their time as efficiently as possible. They do not waste time with people. Just because they can fog up a mirror doesn't mean that they should be that we should be expending time on them just because they said, oh yeah, sure, send me a search, or send me some information. Not the way to do it. Okay, and further on that point, you need to protect your time and your schedule like you would protect your wallet. You know why? Because it is. The person that's able to control their time can control their income. The more time you waste, you'll never get that time back, and you'll never be able to earn money from that time. So you have to be doing the most highly productive things. In this case, it's prospecting, presenting, and follow-up. Those are the three things that are going to be the best use of your time. Okay, but we'll get that, which actually kind of leads us to this next point, right? Know what your time is worth. Okay, do me a favor, folks, in the chat, do me a favor, and if you guys have an idea of what you would like to earn annually, what is an hour of your time worth during work hours? Do me a favor, can a couple of you folks type that in the chat for me? I'd like to get a feel for where everyone's mindset is. And there's no wrong answers. No one's going to laugh. No one's going to make fun of you. No one's going to say, oh, that's crazy. Your time isn't worth X an hour, right? But do me a favor and type in there. I'm going to wait for a second, because I'm going to show you a cool way to figure out what your time is worth in just a second, right? Okay, while we're waiting for people to come into the chat, right? The way to figure out what your time is worth is to take whatever it is that you want to earn in an annual time over the period of a year and divide by 2,000. The simple way to do it is if you want to earn $200,000 in this next year, right? The best way to do it is just divide that in half, right? And that's 100,000, and then you take off the 1,000, right? Basically, so 200,000 divided by in half becomes 100,000. Take off the 1,000. Your time, if you're looking to earn $200,000 over the next year, your time is worth $100 an hour, right? So I used to have a sign on the side of my monitor that says, "What is your time worth?" If you're not doing, at that time it was $200 an hour work. Why are you spending your time this way, or something along those lines? And I printed it out and I kept it on the side of my monitor as a reminder. Because tell me this: if you want to make $400,000 next year, 40 hours a week, you need to be doing. So that's, well, let me break it down for you. So that's 400 divided by 2, right? Divided by 2,000. 400,000 divided by 200,000 is $200 per hour, okay? And then what you do is you need to be doing $200 out per hour work every hour of the week, right? If not, you're not going to make the same that money, right? So what do you do? Well, the number one thing you need to do is figure out how you can offload some of that time to somebody else. If you're doing $15 an hour work when you're supposed to be doing $100 or $200 an hour work, guess what? You're never going to reach your income goal, okay? Very few people will be able to reach their income goal working only with buyers, right? Because they can be very time consuming, and then they can just disappear or go with someone else, or have their cousin or their friend's kid who just got his real estate license or her real estate license. There's too much variability in the income there. But if you work with sellers and you work with prospecting, presenting, and following up as many hours of the day as possible, I promise you, that's the fastest way to maximize your income, okay? So know what your time is worth. Take what you want, divided by 2,000. That's what your time is worth per hour, and you have to be doing as many things that are the highest revenue producing as possible, right? If you don't have an admin or you don't have an assistant, you are one, okay? Because that means you're doing the work that an assistant could be doing for $12 or $15 or $16 an hour, right? And you'll never reach your income goals if you continue to do, $15 an hour work, right? It just doesn't work that way. Okay, next, create call lists, and more importantly, to-do lists the night before. I would love nothing more than to know that every single one of you folks, right, already knows everybody you're going to call by. So right now it's almost 5:30 Eastern. It's the end of or getting towards the end of the day Eastern Standard Time. I would love nothing more than to know that you folks already know who you're calling for tomorrow. Already know when you get to that office at 8 o'clock, you're going to hit the phones, pound the phones, so you can find new opportunities, right? And by making that call list the night before, you hit the ground running in the morning. Also, there's the added benefit. Our brain, our subconscious mind, works as a filter throughout the night. So what's interesting is you will wake up with insights that you didn't realize you had by creating your to-do list the night before, creating your call list the night before. You'll wake up and while you're sleeping, your brain is churning and figuring things out. So it's very, very possible that you're going to have insights in the morning that you would not have had if you were to create your list the day of. So use your brain, to its full potential. And one of the ways of doing that is to set everything up the night before. Number 5, do not sign NDAs and CAs without reading the fine print, okay? So can anyone tell me what an NDA is? I mentioned it before. Emma, Roger, James, can anybody, did anyone remember what I called an NDA? If you want to type that in the chat. And a CA, right? These are very important forms. Do not read them without sign them without reading the fine print, and I'll tell you why. Because a lot of times, brokers on the other side, on the listing side of a property, they do not want you waiting until the property expires, and rightfully so. That's fair. You don't want them if they have a year-long listing at a year and a day, if the property still hasn't sold, you go behind their back. But what a lot of them will do is they'll also try to extract your client's information so that they can find buyers. And then when you disappear, they go behind your back. So you got to be very, very careful. as to what you're obligating yourself to when you're filling out an NDA or a CA. Some people want to tie you up for like 3 years, which is completely ridiculous. Some of them, some companies, they'll remain nameless, but they want you to, before they'll even give you the marketing package for a building, they want your client's name, number, and email address. Like, ridiculous. Like, that's just suicide. But some they try. They can try anything they want. All right. Again, like I mentioned before, do not try to buy the business. You cannot do it. You cannot buy the leads. There's no lead source in commercial that you can just click on and you get emails and you just call these people. It just doesn't work that way. Or if you did spend the money, you'd be wasting the money, because I don't know. I've been in the business a long time and I don't know of a source where you can go. But I tell you what, the beautiful thing about this business is, for very low overhead, it doesn't cost, but a terrible amount of money, you can find leads over and over and over again that you got to research them. You got to reach out to them. They're not just going to fall in your lap. But I tell you what, you can make a lot of money in this business if you take the time, develop the lead sources, research the leads, and then call them with pig-headed discipline, right? You want to have that PhD, pig-headed discipline. Stay on them and stay on them and stay on them. Remember, the tortoise won the race, not the hare. The hare ran, boom, 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 real fast and done. Most people do not spend enough time developing a relationship with people who they might do business with. Sometimes if they can't get business done, they don't want to know anything, and they're done, and they're out of there after 2 attempts or 3 attempts tops. The people that win are the people that slowly but steady. Some of the biggest deals I've closed in my career have been with people that I called 15, 20, 30, 40 times. And I'm serious. I mean, I called them 3 times a week for months, and just didn't let up because, but at the end of the day, you develop a relationship with them and they say, you know what, this person has persistence, they have tenacity. That's the person I want to do business with. So it does pay off. Okay. But do not try to buy the business. Next one, learn to let the prospect speak and really listen. We have all been guilty, myself included, 100 times over, of getting excited, hearing something that we, having what they call happy ears, and then not fully addressing what the prospect really wants or needs. Okay. So we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Use them according to that ratio. You should be talking, 1/3 of the time and listening 2/3 of the time, because at the end of the day, people want to be heard. People love nothing more than knowing that they're being heard. Some people aren't heard at home. Sometimes their spouses don't listen to them because they've been married to them forever. They want to be heard in business. I would recommend listening to people when they talk, because they'll tell you everything you need to know. You just have to ask the right questions and listen. Okay? Does that everybody? So far, so good. Any questions? If you want to put them in the chat, by all means. But we're getting down to the bottom of the list here, right? These are the things you do need to avoid your first year, okay? And this is a huge one, huge. This is only second runner-up, but it's very, very big. Okay, a lot of people get into commercial because they know commercial deals and commercial commissions can be very, very large. Okay, people get in and they see $20 million deal with 2 points on it, $30 million deal with 2 or 3 points on it. They see these things, and that's the reason, frankly, a lot of us got into this business, is because you can make a lot of money in this business because we make a percentage of a large number. Now, what I would recommend in the beginning, if you have not closed a $1, $2, $3, $5, $8 million transaction, you have no business chasing after a $20 million transaction. The funny analogy I like to use is like the dog that chases a school bus. Even if that dog catches that school bus, right, he or she will not know how to drive it, right? It's no different than an agent who's getting involved, on the commercial side, and they want to go right to the top. They want to go for those deals because, maybe they were making, 100 grand on the residential side, or 150 grand, and they see how you can make in one transaction, you can make a $400,000 or $500,000 commission, right? It's absolutely possible, completely probable, once you develop the right skills. right? But in the beginning, you do not have the skills. It would be like an 8th grader trying to go up against LeBron James, right? They just don't have a chance. Why? Because they haven't developed their skills yet to get to that level. Can you get to that level? Absolutely, no question in time, but it's time in the game. It's reps, it's reps, it's reps, it's experience. As you know, it would be like a brand new realtor trying to sell like some huge mega mansion and go up against all the best agents. Could they get it done? Maybe, but is there a high probability that it's not going to work? And then are there people way more experienced? Yeah. So in the beginning, please avoid the allure of the big deals. You'll get there someday, right? No question, right? But one of my best students who really excelled in my program, she closed 8 transactions while in my 6-month program. And her number one advice, and it was advice that I gave her, I said to her, I said, listen, you have to stop chasing the big deals. Yeah, the numbers are great. Yeah, I know you want to sell a hotel on Miami Beach. That's so cool. It would be really neat to put on your resume. But at the same time, you have to remember, right? You have to walk before or crawl before you walk before you run. You can't just go, coming out of the womb and running. It just doesn't work that way, right? As soon as she stopped doing that, do small deals. I did some deals that I made less than $300 on, but I recognized it was more important to learn the process from A to Z of a transaction, because if you can close a $200 deal, then you can close a $2,000 deal, then you can close a $20,000 deal, then you can close a $200,000 deal. Period, right? But you have to get from A to Z. You can't go A, B, C, D, oop, deal fell apart. A, B, C, D, E, oop, deal fell apart. A, B, C, because you're trying to handle transactions that are above your ability level, right? So you do have to be mindful that if you try to do things that are above your ability level, there's a high probability that something will fall apart, or you won't see something, and it'll wind up wasting your time that you could have been spending learning how to close smaller transactions. Is everybody with me so far? Can I get a +1 in the chat if that makes sense in terms of not handling huge deals in the beginning? Maybe that was a time for you to like partner up with a broker in your local city just to make sure that the deal gets done. If you do happen to land an opportunity, I'm not saying give it away, but I am saying bring someone on that has handled transactions of that size so that you can still capitalize on it and even learn a thing, Hopefully that makes sense. If you guys, yep. Eric says +1. Lisa, yep. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you dropping in. Right. So now, finally, last but not least, drum roll, please. Boom. Get a mentor. Right. Whether it's a broker on the other side of town from you, whether it's your broker, right. Whether it's a training program that your local MLS has. Someone you can ask questions to, whether it's a coach, like I have a coaching program, and another coach that's maybe local, a coach that's nationwide, whatever that might be, find someone to help you, right? The most expensive thing, and now that, I'm turning 45 this year, right? Well, I'm on the back 9, right? And I fully realize that I'm in the second half of my career, okay? And that nothing is more expensive than time, right? And time is the only non-renewable resource. You spend money on something, that money comes back. Your money comes and goes, right? But time never, ever comes back. How many of you would do anything to be able to turn the clock back 10 years, right? Guess what? None of us can do it. But what you can do is you can spend money so that you pay someone for their experience. So if it means you bringing a broker on a deal and you get to learn from their experience and you get to make half of the commission, instead you might not be making all of it, but guess what? You get to leverage that person's experience. There's an old saying, and it was referring to like the passing down of knowledge. And it was, I'm going to paraphrase it, of course, and I'm sure I'm going to screw it up. But it's the reason why we can see so far is because we stood on the shoulders of giants. And basically, people were able to learn from generations before them, right? The fastest way to success in this business is leveraging the experience of a mentor, okay? So if you're looking for a mentor, you're heading in the right direction. Pay someone for their knowledge. You know why? Because you're going to get an ROI, a return on that investment, 5-fold, 10-fold, 20-fold, 100-fold, right? I've spent in coaching in commercial real estate, I've spent probably close to $65,000 or $70,000 to learn the skills that I learned. but I have made back multitudes. It's not even funny how many coaching, how much return I've had on the coaching programs that I've taken. I figured at one point I had during the time I was in this one coaching program, for every $1 that I spent on that coach, I made $20 back, and he was not cheap at all. So the point being is invest in yourself. Warren Buffett, the most experienced investor, the most successful investor of the modern era, said the best investment you can make is investing in yourself. Invest in your brain, invest in your knowledge, and invest in your skill set, right? So if you guys want to utilize someone locally, awesome. If you guys are looking to understand a little bit more about what we do here at CRE Basic Training, what it is, we have a 6-month training program, and we will take you from A to Z in commercial transactions, right? We teach you how to prospect. We teach you where to find lead sources. We teach you what softwares to use. We show you the leasing side of things, right? Whether you want to work with buyers, whether you want to work with sellers, how to draw up leases, what to say when you get someone on the phone, how often do you follow up with them? You know, all these things, you know, we take you A to Z. Basically, I created a video library as well as a coaching program, which is 6 months long. It's 26 weeks where we meet every week and we discuss different topics in commercial, and everybody gets their questions answered and so forth. And what you do by the time you get done with that 6-month period, it's going to require an investment on your side of a few hours a week, you know, but that 6 months is going to pass anyhow. Wouldn't you like to, you know, in February of next year, feel confident that you can close commercial transactions and start putting those $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 commission checks in your pocket? Maybe, I mean, if you're from California, like Roger, put an $84,000 check in your pocket. That's the average size commercial transaction. That's a 3% fee on a $2.8 million property, right? Think about that. That's one transaction a year. By the way, folks, do me a favor. Lisa, Eric, James, Roger, Emma, can you guys tell me how long you plan on being in brokerage for? You know, how much longer you want to be in real estate for? Just out of curiosity. See if I make sure I didn't forget anybody. Yeah, Karen, Eric, James, just put it in the chat for me, and put in there how much longer you plan on being in brokerage for, because I want to draw put it into context for you, right? Because like I mentioned, if you learn how to do this skill set and just close one transaction on average, right? You're looking at anywhere between the average across the United States is 48,000. And then Roger has the average transaction out on the West Coast of 84,000. But if you've ever guys thought of, okay, so Lisa wants to be in for life, right? Lisa, perfect example, right? Thanks for dropping in. If you think about it, okay, if the rest of your life is an extra, let's just say 20 years, right? If you close one average transaction, right? Sonny says wants to be in maybe another 10 years. Okay, great. Let's just use 10 years. If your average transaction in your state is 1.6 million, okay, that means the average commission is 48,000. One transaction, 48,000. The next, if you just closed one transaction, the next 10 years, that's $480,000 in addition to what you're already doing. That could be a vacation home. That could be your nest egg. So all these things you got to really consider. Not just what is my return on this skill set today, but it's what is it a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Brian says, Christian, I'll be joining your team soon. Awesome, Brian. Yes. I'm really looking forward to working with you. I'm curious to see how your license test was. I know you're looking down south here as well. So really looking forward to working with you in the future. But so Brian and I have spoken on the phone about the coaching program, and he's going to be joining us soon. If you guys want to learn more, do me a favor and just put in the chat training, and we'll reach out to you. Either myself or one of my staff members will reach out to you, because we want to help people get ready and get going for 2022. And if you want, this is a skill set that you're serious about acquiring so that you can improve the life of yourself, improve the life of your family, pass it down to your kids, whatever that might look like. We are here to help you, and we're really looking forward to doing so. So if any of you folks want, by all means, reach out. Do we work Georgia? So we have students from coast to coast. We have a bunch of students over in California. We have Massachusetts, Indiana. So to answer your question, Lisa, we are all over the United States. I don't have anyone in Hawaii yet, but I do have a few people I've spoken to in Hawaii, so hopefully we'll get Hawaii. But other than that, we got all the other 4 time zones cleared up. And we can go over cost because we do have a couple different options for you. So if you want to, hop on a call, we can certainly do that and go from there. All right. But if any of you folks are interested in learning more about the training program, just type training in the chat, and then we'll be able to reach out to you in the next day or so that we can figure out if there's a solution out there that will work for you. In the meantime, thanks so much for spending your time with us and coming by today. And if you need anything, by all means, reach out to me in the group if you have any questions. But I look forward to seeing you folks. I look forward to hopefully working with you soon. And Brian, I look forward to talking to you, pal. Hope you guys are doing great. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.